Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, again. Let's start. Let me share my screen with you guys. Okay, so let's start with today's session. It's going to be about DVC, abbreviation for data version control. So we're going to see a little bit about what is DVC, and we will go straight to the demo. So from the definition, uh, like it's data version control. It's a system like for tracking changes to data over time. I have to make sure you guys can see my screen, right? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, uh, yeah, just like Git, uh, you're familiar with Git already since you've been doing like at least 3 projects so far. So, just like Git, it helps us track like Git helps us track our code, like change over time, and DVC does the same thing, but it's for the data. So for the data as well as the models and like the machine learning like pipelines, we're going to see that in the future. So it keeps like a full history of like when the data changed, who changed it, and even why it was changed. So this becomes like incredibly important in the that science community, like because even a small change in a data set can like completely change your experiment results. So DVC is very important. So with DVC, like we can collaborate safely, knowing that like every team, like everyone on our team is working with the exact same version of the data, and like if something goes wrong, or like if we want to compare results from an older data set, like we can easily roll back to the previous version. So generally, so DVC brings like reproducibility and transparency and control like to our data, like the same way like Git brings those to our code. So it's a it's a it's similar to Git, but DVC is for data. So far, we haven't done any DVC so far. So our like data sets are smaller so far. So we didn't actually do DVC, but from now on, we are going to use DVC in this project as well as the future projects. So what are the key features of DVC? So first, like DVC integrates like directly with Git. So that means like our code and our data stays connected, and we can manage both in clean, organized way without like putting a huge files inside like our Git repository. So as we always said, like don't push your data to GitHub. So your GitHub will crash like if you push like too much data to it. So this is where like DVC comes in. So it will help us track our datas, but it will push only the pointers which we will see in the demo to GitHub, not the data itself. So it will push the metadata and the changes and so on. So secondly, DBZ handles like large files efficiently instead of like slowing down our repository or making it huge. DBZ stores big data set and models in a separate like remote location, keeping everything lightweight. So think of it like you're working with a team, and they have your they want to clone your GitHub, for example. So but the data is not there, right? So this is where DVC comes in. So you put your data somewhere remote, like for this project and for this demo, we're going to see that uh, we're going to put a local folder, like as a remote file, but in a real world scenario, we want you to get the concept that there will be like a remote location, like it could be like an Azure or like AWS storage. So the data will be there, but the metadata and the pointers will be in your GitHub. So when you clone your GitHub from like a team of projects or a team of people that you're working with, you get your code. But what about the data? So you pull with DVC pull, so you can get your data as well. So uh, another big advantage is like reproducibility. Like I was saying, with DVC, like we can easily recreate like any experiment, like the exact data, like the exact pre-processing in the exact model version. So no matter how much time has passed. So last one, like DVC makes a collaboration like much easier. So everyone on the team can work with the same version of data in like models, reducing confusion and making projects more consistent and reliable. So these features make like DVC an essential tool for like modern ML workflow. So you're going to encounter them in the future as well. So why do we use DVC? So yeah, before we look we look deeper into DVC, so it's important to understand why actually like we need it in like machine learning projects. So uh, one big challenge is like ML datasets are often like huge, and Git alone simply can't manage large files or track their version efficiently. So another issue is reproducibility. Like surprisingly hard to recreate the exact same experiment later if the data change or pre-processing steps were interact properly. So for example, like uh, if one person work on a data set and he changed it like in the middle of the experiment, like version 1, version 2, like until version 10 might be. So and it gets like it will get a model accuracy, for example, for version 1 like 70%, for version 2 like 80%, and he goes like to up to like version 10 of the data set he changed. And what if he gets like 99% accuracy for the model? So but like his boss or like his project manager want to see that I want to see like where you get the version, where you get like the 80% accuracy. So I want to know that. So how are you going to do that? This is where DVZ helps you. So you will go back to that version of the data set with DVZ and show anybody that this is your data set and this is how your models trend on, and this is how you get your accuracy result. So yeah, another one is collaboration also becomes a problem, like without a proper data versioning, different team members may end up using different version of like data set, which leads to inconsistent result and confusion. So and yeah, another one as well, like DVC also makes sharing data and results much simpler, and most importantly, like it ensures that our experiments are fully reproducible. Like we can always go back to a previous version of the data or a model. So then it's like, what are the benefits of the DVC? So uh, DVC brings like several important benefits to the machine learning and data science workflow, as I was mentioning. So well, like a major benefit is like versioning. So just like we version our codes in GitHub, it allows us to version our data and model as well. So this is like like especially useful for regulatory compliance or audit requirements, where we must show exactly which data was used to produce a specific result. For example, the week we have insurance data, right? So what if like auditor comes in and ለምንድነው ይህንን data like we create a model, like if you saw the challenge document, you will create a model that will help the insurance company. So for example, an auditor comes in and says like why did you say this person is not eligible for like insurance, and show me the data that you used to train the model. So you might like ብዙ ዳታዎችን ቀይራችሁ ሊሆን ይችላል፣ ብዙ ኮለመንስ አውጥታችሁ ሊሆን ይችላል ከውስጡ። so but like you don't know which files you are using right now, or you don't know which files you are working with, which code in the middle of like the dataset change. So you can use the DVC and like you can show them this is the data we were working with when we get this model's accuracy. So this is versioning. And another key benefit is reproducibility. Like we can create any experiment at any time with exact same date, preprocessing and model setting. And collaboration also like becomes easier. Team members can share data sets, model files, and pipeline without confusion. Scalability is another strong advantage. So DVC handles large data sets and complex machine learning workflow efficiently. So ወደ GitHub push ስለማናረገው like we can manage. It will be in a separate storage location. We're going to see that also on the demo, how we're going to set that up. And finally, like if data becomes corrupted or if something goes wrong, you can safely like revert to any previous version. This gives like confidence that our data is always clean, consistent, and recoverable. So these are the benefits of DVC. Another one, yeah, this is like the commands we use while working with DVC. So DVC init, so initialize a new DVC project in the current directory. DVC get retrieve data models from DVC remote storage to the local workspace, DVC add, and so on. So we're going to see some of them in the demo. DVC push, pull, like in checkout. So let's talk about the best practices and we'll go through the demo. So when working with DVC, following like a best practice can make your like workflow much smoother and more efficient. The first best practice is like to commit often and use clear message, just like with a normal Git workflow. So regular commits helps track your progress and make it easier to understand what's changed in. So next, use your .ignore wisely. Large files should never be committed to Git. Instead, like let DVC handle them. This keeps your repository clean and prevents performance issues. It's also important to stay organized. Keep your data, code, and configuration files well structured. Will make your DVC pipeline easier to manage and understand, especially as your project grows. So another strong practice is to automate your workflow through CI/CD, and you can integrate DVC commands like pulling data or reproducing pipeline into your automated builds to ensure everything stays consistent across environments. And finally, have it to regularly push and pull your data. This keeps everyone on the team fully in sync, like ensuring that all collaborators are working with the same version of the data sets and models. So you might think like DVC like we can export like to CSV as we're already doing in the past projects, but we teach you guys, so like if your project grows or like professional wise, this is like how you're going to control your data and also your GitHub. I mean, like you don't need to use Git to do codes when we think about it. So PC ላይ መስራት እንችላለን, for example, right? So but version controlling, and we have to put our data like online, so anybody can contribute or can pull your data. So this is also one of the things you have to work while you have data. So yeah, remote storage, limitation of local storage, not ideal for team collaboration. But for this demo, we are going to use the local storage for testing, but in a real world scenario or in a big setup, we going to need to use like a remote storage, not local storage. Lemon, like if your PC locally ከሆነና if it's offline, if someone get your code ከGitHub ላይ ሊያገኝ ይችላል. But what about your data if your PC is offline or it's not a remote storage, right? So he can't get the data. So this is where remote storage helps you across the team. So benefit of remote storage, accessible by all team members, data is backed up and secure, scalable storage option, facilitate collaboration in distributed teams. For this project, it's okay to use your local storage. You can create a folder in your PC. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyone? Jonathan, yes, we can use Google Drive, but there was an issue. I think we need to read a blog. Yeah, there was a workaround, but yeah, we can use Google Drive as well. Like test it, and I want to see also the result, Jonathan, for tomorrow daily stand-up. But yeah, the concept is like if you have a Google Drive that is shared for everybody, and you can put your data there, and you can push your DVC cache and your metadata to GitHub. So when you pull the GitHub repo, you can also pull the DVC. So all the data will be downloaded to yours. So yeah. Okay, so this is some of the commands we going to use. Okay, let's start the demo. Let me share my screen again. So far, do you have any question on the description, or let's go to the demo? Okay, so for you guys to understand, let's start with the basic one from like creating our virtual environments. Okay, so let's create just a text file for the data. This is a test for the demo. Okay, so first thing we are going to do is, you guys seeing my screen, right? I need to be sure. Okay. Okay, so we need to install. So yeah, this is from like the ground up. So you can see that's going to be easy and it's not complicated. I'm going to show you like some of the concepts here. Uh, since I've put a link here for a YouTube video that will explain like DVC perfectly. After this session, you can watch it. This really helps you to understand more about DVC. But I'm going to show you the basic things we're going to see while working with yeah, data version control. Let's finish this. Okay. So our DVC is installed. So there is like Git in it, but since we already using a cloned version of like we cloned the GitHub, the folder from GitHub, we don't need to git initialize. But if you are working starting from like your computer and later if you want to push it to GitHub, like first initialize Git, then next you initialize your DVC. Okay. Mm, sorry.
It is not insurance.
Yeah, okay, maybe let me. Yeah, it should have worked. I think yes. Okay. Let me pause for a while. Sorry, one moment. Okay, so let me share my screen again, and there is already okay. So let's use this one. Okay. Sorry guys for the inconvenience. So where were we? DVZ init. So this is what you're going to see when after installing. So as you can see, there are going to be like files that is created by it. So the DVZ files. Then we need to like add the DVC and dot ignore. We need to commit this as well, because like we need to track ማድረግ አለብን all the DVC tracking, because like metadataዎቹን የሚይዝልን ካሹን and everything የሚይዝልን እሱ ስለሆነ like uh, we need to commit the files as well. So it's okay to do that. So what's next? Track raw data with DVC. So this is the important part of DVC. So as you can see here, DVC adds data and raw data.txt. What this means is you're going to, this is the data we have. This is for testing later. Okay, since I was working on it previously, let's get rid of that. And okay. So what I did was is here like I removed ከዚህ በፊት ስሰራበት ስለነበረ like it cached ይዞ ነበረ already tracked እየሆነ ስለነበር ነው። So again I remove that, and this is what you're going to do. DVC add data and your data. You're going to point it to your data. So this is our data, and as you can see, it will create this file for us, the metadata. So this is going to be tracked, not this one. So we can push this to GitHub, but not the raw data. So it will even like suggest you like what to do here. You can copy here. And this is just doing the same thing as extension. We just like add to staging and just we commit it with, it's the same thing. So what we are going to do is መጀመሪያ git dvc track እናደርገዋለን ፋይሉን which is this one. So pointer create አደረገልን raw data text dot dvc ብሎ so ምን አደረግን ቀጣይ like the data git ignoreም ራሱ create ያደርጋል which እዛ የራሱን ፋይል so important thing guys you need to do not put the data first in git ignore. Set up your DVC ካረጋችሁ በኋላ do not put the data in dot like git ignore. Previously የምናደርገው የነበረው like we're going to put the data folder here እንደዚህ ብለን so for this one you don't have to do that. You just already initialize ስታደርጉት gitን እና ፖይንተሩ ላይ create ስታደርጉት it will create its own git ignore and it will add the file itself. So you don't have to do that. So but we need to track this one, right? So GitHub previously ቢሆን like git ignoreን GitHub ላይ push እናደርገዋለን. So for now as well here git add data git ignore data raw data dvc. So this one pointerውን እና git ignoreን push እናደርገዋለን ማለት ነው. So we have committed that as well. So far what we did is like initialize git, initialize, since it's already initialized, we didn't have to do that. We initialize DVC. So in initialize scenario, we have created this file automatically. So then we created git add DVC and git ignore. So DVC file track አርግልኝ ለማለት ነው, like ለgit ማለት ነው. So then like push aragno, the next thing we did is pointed to the DVC add raw data file on track argalኛል ነው. So the next part is git ignore እና DVC push aragno ማለት ነው to our GitHub. So if you let's see like data here. Okay, since we didn't push it, let's go. So yeah, we should. So as you can see here, there is only like the raw DVC file here in the git ignore, not the data itself. Since here on the git ignore, we ignored the data. So this is how your data should look like. So there is no data here, just the DVC pointer. So we've finished with the tracking and ቀደም ታወራላችሁ እንደነበረው for the DVC remote storage. Let's have already created like one file. Let's delete this one, and we can use like any data. Create ማድረግ ትችላላችሁ folder and copy the path here. So instead of your path, you're going to put your path as well. So let's copy paste this. So what we did is remote location create አደረግንለት ቀደም ዮናታን ሲጠይቅ እንደነበረው ማለት ነው። So በዚህ ፋንታ like Google Drive ልታደርጉ ትችላላችሁ, like Azure storage ሊሆን ይችላል, like any shared የሆነ location ነው ማለት ነው። ከዚህ በኋላ ትራክ የሚያደርገውን ፋይል it will put the files there. So different versionም ሲሆን እንዴት እንደሆነ እናያለን. So this is how you specify your remote location, DVC remote, add D local store. I think it's going to be different if it's remote. You can like find it anywhere. I think it's going to be like remote here, but for this project as well, since we don't actually have access to a lot of storages, yeah, you can create a local folder here and set up your storage. So we've created that. Yeah, so after that, config file እዚህ ላይ ይመጣል. Like we need to add it. This is the same as like git add staging. Why are we doing that? If you guys asked. So configuration file ተቀይሯል ለምን like it was only this first time, but አሁን ላይ we've created URL remote location create አድርገንለታል። URL ደግሞ ይሄኛው my local path ነው. So since there is a change in the config file, we need to like add it, like updated config file. So that it's tracked. So we created our local file as a remote location and we pushed it to GitHub. So we need the configuration file, that's why. So then let's see. So this is the data, right? This is just an empty folder for now. But what if we pushed the data to it? DTZ push. So one file is pushed. So as you can see here, there is a file here, MD5. See, this is just the hash file. So this is going to be created here. So we've covered like DVC push. We've created our local. Okay, question. Can you repeat once which one needs to push and which not, as in our challenge given the machine learning text? Okay. So first, when we create scenario, he folder አልነበረም, right? The DVC folder was not there. The data for like DVC initialize ስናደርገው ነው create ያደረገው. So እዚህ ውስጥ create የሚያደርጉትን በምን push አደረግ ነው? As you can see here, git add .dvc like .dvc ማለት DVC ፋይል ውስጥ create የተደረጉትን anything እና .git ignoreን just stage አድርገህ push አድርግልኝ ማለት ነው for the GitHub. So ዲቪዚውን ትራክ እናደርገዋለን not the data itself, but ዲቪዚው ግን ትራክ መሆን አለበት for GitHub. ለምን when we like version controlling እስከሆነ ድረስ it need to be like included in the GitHub. So this is where you put everything ዲቪሲ ክሬት ያደረገውን GitHub ላይ ስቴጅ አድርገን ፑሽ የምናደርገው ማለት ነው። then we just commit አድርገን ፑሽ አደረግ ነው ማለት ነው። then እንደሌላው ጊዜ like ዳታ ላይ እናስቀምጠውም ዳታውን just dot ignore ላይ እናስቀምጠውም እዚህ ላይ ማለት ነው። like why we when we create, let me show you this one here, DVC add data raw data dot text. This is where you're going machine learning ቴክስታችሁ እዚህ ላይ ነው የሚሆነው ፋይላችሁ ማለት ነው። then ዳታ ላይ ካስገባችሁት በኋላ ዲቪዚን ክሬት አድርጋችሁ ዲቪዚ ፖይንተር ክሬት ስታደርጉለት አውቶማቲክሊ ራሱ ኢግኖር ያደርገዋል በፋይል ኢትሰልፍ ማለት ነው። but since like ለምን አላረግነውም እዚህ ጋር ዳታ አድርገን እዚህ ጋር ኢግኖር ብናደርገው ኖሮ it will ignore the whole data, right? the whole data ኢግኖር አደረገ ማለት ደግሞ like we can't use the DVC tracking. ይሄ ደግሞ ትራክ መደረግ አለበት። so this is why we don't put here. so just automatically ራሱ ክሬት ያደርጋል ማለት ነው when you point it like DVC add እዚህ ጋር ይሄ ፓዛችሁ ሊለያይ ይችላል ዳታ just row folder ማድረጋችሁ ሊሆን ይችላል። so ይሄኛው የሚያደርገው like it will point out. so this is yeah, pretty much it. Did I answer your question? Again. Yes, yes, el beta last. So we need to set up the DVC before we start any pre-processing, right? Yes. Yeah, yeah, you need to do that first, el beta. So what else? What we didn't see. So we pushed the DVC, so we have seen that, right? Yeah. So let's just experiment on some things and how እንዴት እንደሚቀየር or እንዴት ፋይሎቹ እንደሚመጡ let's just see. So this is just a demo pre-processing file. This will just change this one, like to the like this is a. Let me open this for you guys. Yeah, hello DVC. This is my raw data. Like DVC is awesome. This is just the text file, but the pre-processing does is like uppercase which ነው የሚያደርገው for this demo part. So let's run the script. When we run the script, it creates another processed data here. So it just automatically capitalize everything we did. Okay, so and another concept, one more concept here. This is DVC YAML file. So you guys have to read and experiment on it. But what this does is it will create a pipeline. So run ስናደርገውና ቼንጁን ለማሳየት ነው ክሬት ያደረኩት. You can use it in your project. Read more on this one. But for this project, ለምሳሌ like Python file ነው የሚያየው dependencies like source file process.py አለ, then the data አለ, the output is going to be data processed file ነው የሚሆነው. So let's see it in action. DVC. So when we say like DVC reproduction, like reproducibility, where your number, right, for the reproduce እንዴት እንደሚሆን ፋይሉ. So later on the projects, you're going to learn about the pipeline, like pipeline create ማድረጋቸው አይቀርም. So for example, when you run the pipeline, data cleaning ጀምሮ like training the model ሊሆን ይችላል for the evaluation. So it will all run once. ፓይፕላይን ማለት ላይ ከመጀመሪያ እስከ መጨረሻ ያለውን ነገር አውቶሜት ሆኖ ፕሮሰሱን ተከትሎ ሲሄድ ማለት ነው። ሶ ጀስት ፎር ናው አሁን ጀስት ኢትስ አ ሲምፕል ፓይፕላይን ነው ክሬት ያደረግነው። ጀስት ፕሪፕሮሰስን ዳታ ፎልደርን በዚህኛው ፕሪፕሮሰሲንግ ውስጥ ራን እንዲያደርገው ነው። ጀስት ከዛ አውትፑት እዚህ ላይ እንዲያስቀምጥልን ሲንስ ዊ ኦልሬዲ ዲድ ማኑዋሊ ራን አድርገነዋል። ግን እንደዚህም ራን ስናደርገው this is going to look like it will generate a DVC log file for you. This is a metadata, so you will see it change here, like version እየተቀየረ ይመጣል the more you change the data. So let's see how it affects data when we change it. And yeah, like you need to add the DVC log file, or you can just do this and DVC log. You need to be tracked መሆን አለበት by what? By GitHub tracked መሆን አለበት the file, because like metadataውን እና ሃሹን ስለያዘልን it needs to be tracked. So which file ነው remember ማድረግ ያለበት የሚለውን ለማወቅ ማለት ነው. So it's okay to push that. Which file? The DVC log automatically ነው create የሚያደርግልን. We just need to create this one. ይሄን ራን ስናደርገው like DVC log create ያደርግልናል ማለት ነው. So let's just see. ለምሳሌ let's add another line here. So our original data is changed, right? So let's run the repo. reproduction, DVC reproduction. Let me here. So it detected a file change here. It updated the log file. Okay, let me show you here. So as you like ብናየው ጥሩ ነበረ እንደግመዋለን ግን this is going to be changed guys. So ፋይሉ ተቀይሯል. We have a second version of the file because we add one line, right? ቀደም ስንል ነበረ like it will save here ብለን ነበረ. So like for now የለም because like we didn't push the DVC. So ፋይሉን ቀይረናል. There is a second version of the file. When we push it, file has been pushed. So as you can see, like we have like 3 version of the file. But ምንም ሳንቀይር ለምሳሌ DVC reproduction ብናረግ like stage process didn't change, like skipping ይላል። So ምንም ከሌለ there is nothing changed. So push ብናረገውም the same data ነው የሚሆነው. But አሁን just guys just to see here, as you can see, this is a size 74, like the MD5, the hash file is here, like 353. So let's see, like if it's changed. Let's create another line also. Yeah, that is also enough. Let's see. See, the size is 78. It's different, so it will track the change, not the file itself. So for now, it's only 4. What if we push it? See? So 1 is for, like it was 3, right? But after we push it, ሁለት ፋይል ሆነ. So 1 is for the raw data text and 1 is for like the processed data text. So processed data text እንደ DVC የሌለው ደግሞ another thing to mention, pipeline ውስጥ ካለና in DVC YAML file ውስጥ ካለ as an output, it will automatically track it. So that is why you won't see preprocessed .dvc ብላችሁ ማታዩት pipeline ውስጥ ከሆነ it will automatically create it for them. So like as you see here, like it's outs, right? This is like DVC controlled ማለት ነው. So this is the basics of DVC. As I was saying, like watch this video, it will help you guys to understand more about DVC. But this is the basic concept of DVC. So any question, guys? Okay, Jonathanas. Okay, Nage. You can ask. Yeah. Nage kina. Okay, maybe if it's an accident. Nage, you raised your hand. Okay. So let's answer Jonathan's question. I don't get it. When you process data, the raw data text, when you process the raw data text, you got new processed data, so the raw data is not affected. Just created a new file. I don't get the idea of tracking. It's also in our case, we are not going to change the raw data machine learning. Okay, I don't understand your question. When you process the raw data text, you get any processed data. Yes, so you mean this one, right? So we've created just a demo sample preprocessing, which will create preprocessed text. this is for the demo. So if you don't create another file, it's okay. But እስካሁን ድረስ ስንሰራ የነበረው ክሊን እናደርጋለን right? Some datas just ዳታ ፍሬም ላይ ብቻ እንዲቀመጥልን ማድረግ እንችላለን or ደግሞ ኤክስፖርትም ልናደርገው እንችላለን right? to like ሮ እና ፕሪፕሮሰስድ ብለን ነው ዳታ ላይ ክሬት ስናደርግ ዩዥሊ ክሬት እያደረግን ያለ ነው እስካሁን። ሶ ለምሳሌ like 10 ሮ ያለው ዳታ አለ then ክሊን ካረከው በኋላ ሚሲንግ ቫልዩ ዲቴክት አድርገ ሮ ኮለመን ሪሙቭ የሚደረግ ምናምን ካረክ በኋላ ኤክስፖርት ልታደርገው ትችላለህ። ጀስት ዳታ ፍሬም ላይ መቀመጥ ይችላል በት the base case like ያንን ፋይል ከዚህ በኋላ ደጋግሜ እጠቀመዋለሁ እና I don't need to run that pipeline every time I use ብለህ ካሰብክ you can export the data right? so ያንን ዳታ ከቀየርከው this is DVC track ያደርግልሃል ማለት ነው if that's your question and okay Nagi continue. So Jonathan to finish up your question, I don't get the idea of tracking it. Also in our case we are not going to change the raw data. Yeah, so like soon ዳታውን ስትሰራ ነው የምታየው like you need to change it or not የሚለው ማለት ነው so it depends on you ክሊን አድርጌ like ኤክስፖርት አደርገዋለሁ ካልክ you can yeah so it's depend on your project and on your use case. ካልመለስኩልክ you can ask again Jonathan, you can open also your mic.
Okay, what I mean is like raw data እንትን አለ አንዴ ብቻ
I'm sorry your sound is a little unclear.
raw data አንዴ ነው የምትጠቀመው አንዴ ከተጠቀመው በኋላ ከዛ ፕሮሰስ የምናደርጋቸው ብቻ የምንጠቀማቸው ሰው እሱኛውን ሮ ዳታውን ትራክ ማድረጋችን ምንድነው ጥቅሙ ብዬ ነው።
ኦኬ እሺ ገብቶኛል ጥያቄ ሶ አንድ ዳታ ላይ ነው የምንሰራው like አንቀይረውም so why do we need to track it ነው so እስካሁን ባሉት ፕሮጀክቶች ሜቢ ላያስፈልግ ይችላል ግን like ለምሳሌ let's say data news dataውን for like week 2 or like week 1 news data አለ ክሊን አድርገነዋል for example like drop ማድረግ ያለብን ዱፕሊኬት ያደረግናቸው ምናምን like we removed all of them let's say so ያንን ነው like for sentiment analysis or any other like for sentiment analysis ለምሳሌ like clean የሆነውንና for outliers የወጣለትን and everything የምንጠቀመው right so እሱን ለመጠቀም you need the clean data so every time run ልታደርገው ነው ማለት ነው ያንን ኮድ to get that clean data because you can't work on the like clean ባልተደረገው data you can't work on sentiment analysis or time series analysis መስራት አትችልም like time seriesንም ለምሳሌ ፎርማቲንጉን ወይ ፓርሲንጉን ቀይረው ሊሆን ይችላል to the best version የምትለውን ዳታን ክሊን አድርገህ ኮለመን ሪሙቭ የሚደረግ ሪሙቭ አድርገህ ሊሆን ይችላል so ያ ፓይፕላይን አለ so for your next task sentiment analysis ለመስራት ስታስብ you always like rerun ልታደርገው ነው ማለት ነው ያንን ኮድ so that will take like a lot of time for you but once ያንን ኤክስፖርት አድርገህ ከፈለክ ማስቀመጥ ከፈለክ እና for the next time pull up ማድረግ ከፈለክ ግን which data are you using የሚለውን for future wise ማወቅ ከፈለክ DVC controlling ያስፈልጋል ማለት ነው so this is ያንተ ጥያቄ more of like DVC ብቻ ሳይሆን like ለምን ዳታውን እንፈልገዋለን አንድ ዳታ ላይ የምንጠቀም ከሆነ so this is why you do experiment ሞዴል ላይ ክሬት ስታደርጉ ደግሞ for future wise የሆነ ዳታ ልታወጡ ትችላላችሁ ከዛ ያ ዳታ ሲወጣ እንዴት ነው ያንን ሞዴል አፌክት የሚያደርገው ትሬን ሲደረግ like this ሮ ይጠቅመዋል for the model training or አይጠቅመውም የሚለውን like experiment ሰራለን it's not going to be like አንዴ ሰርተህ የምታቆመው ነገር you experiment like you remove one column like you remove some of the files then እነሱን እያየ you see the accuracy evaluation አለ you're going to learn in the future evaluationዎቹን እያየ accuracyን ለመጨመር ነው የምንሞክረው the model so ብዙ ዳታ ላይ ልትሰራ ትችላለህ በኮንሴፕት for now yeah it's simply and like small data sets እየተጠቀምን ስለሆነ ነው። Right? The project ባደገ ቁጥር ግን you're going to need there are going to be like a lot of data sets የተነካኩ አንዱ like different role ሊሆን ይችላል አንደኛው like different size ሊሆን ይችላል so like managing them will be like chaotic. So this is why we use like data version controlling. Is that your question, Jonathan? Or
ያ በቃ ገብቶኛል። the next
okay.
question ደግሞ what about the YAML file? Like I get it pipeline ነው ምናምን ግን እዛ ፓይፕላይን ላይ ምንድን ነው የምናስቀምጠው? ትራክ የምናደርጋቸውን ነው ሴታፕ የምናደርገው ወይንስ ምንድን ነው ሴታፕ እያደረግን ያለ ነው?
Yes, so the YAML file for now just simple pipeline ነው create የሚያደርግልን ግን for example like የምትሰራው ለምሳሌ ከዚህ በፊት ያሉትን ዊክ ፕሮጀክቶች ብናይ ፕሪፕሮሰስ ትሰራላችሁ ራይት ኢዲውን ሰርታችሁ like clean አድርጋችሁ duplicate remove ምናምን so you automate that and you just have to just run one DVC repro and it will run all of them just ፋይሎቹን ነው run የሚያደርግልን automatically ማድረግ እንችላለን just አንድ ጊዜ ነው run የሚያደርግልን ነው so but for this case it will catch if anything is changed and the track ያደርግልናል ማለት ነው the data በመሃል የቀየርከው ካለ or remove ካረከው the data ውስጥ if any change ካለ data ውስጥ የቀየርከው ነገር ካለ it will track it and create ያደርግልሃል another hash file create ያደርግልሃል ማለት ነው so just the YAML file just pipeline ነው create የምታደርገው so experiment on it like እያየኸው ማለት ነው
without push ሳናደርግ ነው ትራክ የሚያደርገው
ምን ላይ ፑሽ ሳናደርግ
I mean like automated ነው አልከና አይደል ይሄኛው so ቅድም ግን ይሄኛውን እንትን ከመጠቀማችን በፊት ፑሽ እያደረግ ከዛ አብዛኛው ሎካል ስቶሬጅ ላይ ምናምን ሄደ እያየህ ምናምን ነገር ነበረ አሁን ግን ይሄኛውን አውቶማቲካሊ ነው የሚሰራው ነው ፖይንቱ
yes ይሄኛው like ማኑዋሊ ማድረግ እንችላለን መጀመሪያ ማኑዋሊ ነው እንደውም ራን ያደረግነው right just it's a python file we can run it manually it doesn't matter like እንደዚህም ቢሆን ትራክ ያደርግልሃል በYAML ፋይሉም ቢሆን ክሬት ያደርግልሃል ይሄንን just ለማየት ነው like ምን ያህል ቼንጅ አለው without the change እና without change አድርገንና ሳናረግ ለማየት ነው እንጂ ማኑዋሊም ይሰራልሃል since like ይሄ ዳታ ትራክድ እስከሆነ ድረስ ይሄ YAML ፋይሉ አይደለም like it's important የሆነው ፓርት መጀመሪያ ያደረግነው አለ አይደለ we tracked this file so since it's DVC ውስጥ እስካለ ድረስ raw data text የሚለው file it is always tracked ማለት ነው so tracked እስከሆነ ድረስ any change it will be cached so YAML file ውስጥ ስለሆነ ብቻ አይደለም just ይሄኛው just pipeline ለማየት ነው you can it's a best practice ነው እንጂ it's not mandatory አይደለም
okay so we don't have to run the process.py
yes it's
YAML ብቻ run ብናደርገው the same thing
yes it's YAML the same thing ነው ፕሮሰስ የሚያደርገው if you run it manually the same thing ነው ፕሮሰስ የሚያደርገው it will just see the more projects yeah just ይሄኛው ነው ዋናው important file like DVC-ውን pointer create ያደርግለታል ማለት ነው so this is it okay Jonathan thank you for asking like I said what is the difference between the raw data and the data you created with DVC okay I guess you answered my question too it was the same as Jonathan okay so I answered your question again okay thank you so any other question before we end the session okay if not thank you guys for attending have a great afternoon goodbye